Yo, 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 guys, welcome to another episode of Cali Child's Mentality, man. Guys, sad thing, man. I really want to talk about Egypt and why Egypt, not Egypt, Israel, and why Israel gets a pass from the world, you know? Why is Israel treated like a special child? Why? And why is Palestine and the Palestinians treated like the scum and the dirt and the filth of the earth? Why? You know, that's what I would like to know. I mean, account it doesn't make sense at all. What has Israel got, or what does Israel have that makes Israel so special? Now, for me, it doesn't make sense that a country that, I mean, let's say, let's be honest, there were Jews in Palestine. Yes, they'll say there was no country, excuse me, they'll say there was no country like Palestine, right? Totally understand that. Totally, totally understand that. There was no country as Palestine. There was no, fair and fine. There was no country as Palestine. Okay. Then they'll say they came from Egypt, they came from Jordan, they came from where? Fair and fine. The fact of the matter is, those people were on that land 3,000, 5,000 years ago. Now, my question is this: it doesn't matter where those people came from, those people were on that land 3,000, 5,000 years ago, right? Look at America, for example. Who owns that land? Are the owners of that land ruling the land? No. Okay. So, why is it that Israel becomes a special case and that their story is allowed to be told to the world and spread to the world, even though they're spreading lies? We are meant to believe that it's a Muslim versus Jewish war. And, and that's further from the truth. That is not the truth at all. The real reason is colonization. That's all it is. They were Palestinian Jews. Totally agree with that. Let the Palestinian Jews, or the Jews that came from Egypt and Jordan, like they say, right? Because Jesus himself was a Palestinian Jew. So let the Jews that are born in that land or in that area fight it out with the Muslims from that area. But now we have East European Jews coming, Western European Jews coming, all claiming that piece of land. How does that even make sense? How? Please tell me how. Does that even make sense? How? Doesn't make sense at all, right? So it's a colonization story. It's nothing to do with religion. It's nothing to do with anything else other than colonization. So we all know that it's colonization. Why? Because wherever the man is, the man causes problems. We know that, right? And Israel is getting special treatment because Israel is a colony of the man. Now we all know that. So let's look at the scale of brutality committed by the man, right? They will tell you that the most atrocious, horrific event in history is the Holocaust, which was bad, we must admit, very traumatic, very horrifying. But did you know that in the Belgian Congo, King Leopold killed, murdered 10 million? Congolese. Now, if we have to, if we have to compare the two, I mean, obviously, the Congolese issue far outweighs the Holocaust. But that is not to be mentioned. That, for some reason, no one wants to talk about that. It's like swept under the rug. Why? Because it's Africans. That's why. Now we all know that. But what can we do? The people that run the world are the people that tell the narrative of the world, right? They shape the world, right? So how do we get to tell our own stories? How do the Palestinians get to tell their own story? You know, it can't be that certain countries can ignore the UN, the ICJ, the ICC. It can't be. But yeah, it's happening. I mean, America put sanctions on Cuba and I think Venezuela as well, if I'm not mistaken. And they and the rest of the world is supposed to uphold it. And the rest of the world is supposed to uphold those illegal sanctions that are placed on countries that America deems unfit to be friends with. I find that shocking. I really do. I really, really do. I find that shocking. So now with de-dollarization, I think sanctions are going to be a thing of the past from the American side because use of the US dollar was actually being used as a tool for sanctions. But now that most countries, or more and more countries, are beginning to move away from the dollar, how are they going to impose sanctions if the dollar is not in circulation? Think about that. Here's my thing. Going back to the Palestinian-Israeli issue. When is a person a terrorist? When is a person a resistance fighter? When? Do you know of any white terrorists? Even though the man has committed so many terrorist acts against mankind. So many. So many. And none of them were classed as terrorists. I think the act of slavery itself was a terrorist act. I really believe that. Nobody talks about that as a terrorist act. Had the tables been turned and it was anyone else who had enslaved the man, those people would have been deemed terrorists. See what I'm saying? So, how does history turn out to be the history of one nation, of one race, and not the history of all of mankind? How? Guys, let's be very honest with each other, right? The man has never cared for anybody else but himself, right? For the world to progress, the world has to somehow leave the man behind. That's the only other way. Because or as soon as the man is involved, the man always has to destroy, unless he's benefiting. That's the only other way. Because honestly speaking, think of any logical thing where the man was involved, you know, and then think to say, where has other people gained where he has decided that he's not going to benefit from? You know what I mean? To be honest, look at most races, right? Most races work for the man, right? And they get a monetary exchange, right? In exchange for their physical thing. You know what I mean? But then what is the man actually gaining from all of that? You see what I'm saying? And that is the main thing that we are always against. So politically, socially, economically, if the man is not gaining or benefiting from, then he's destroying it outright or outlawing. That thing's going to be outlawed. You know what I mean? So as a case like, for sure, let's look at marijuana, for example, right? God specifically put those put that plant in specific regions of this world where he knew people would definitely struggle, and that plant, that herb, would be a savior for them. You know, it would help them economically, right? What does the man do? The man comes and he outlaws it. Why? Because there's just no way that he can benefit from it, because it grows in the wild. It's not in a concentrated place, right? So there's no way of taxing it because it grows wild. Do you see what I mean? So that's why it's not like alcohol. Alcohol, you can control it because it is produced in a controlled environment. The distribution channels are all controlled, you see? So that's why the man is able to tax alcohol, right? But not marijuana. So that's the main thing. Now look how clever he is now. Because he realized that people are making millions, if not even billions, with this plant. What does the man do? He decides, okay, we are now going to create a license for you to grow this thing for medicinal purposes. Dude, we don't need a license to grow this thing. It comes naturally to us. It's in our own backyard. So we don't need your approval to use a plant that God gave to us. Not you. It's not yours. You didn't create it. But who are you to say that we can't use it? You understand what I mean? Eh, that's the problem I'm having with the man. So I don't know. I feel like Africa needs to rid itself of the man, because the man is creating all the problems in Africa. I promise you that. All of it. All of it. All the problems in Africa come down right to the man. I promise you that. Even the rebels, who's arming the rebels? Conflict Diamonds, who is at the end of it all, benefiting from Conflict Diamonds. You understand what I'm saying? So I may be wrong. Maybe I need education on this, but from what I see, from my standpoint, damn, 99.99% of all problems in Africa are attached or related to or come from or source being the man. 100%. That's what I believe. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Holla!